Okay. Hello, my name is Carson and my company is Neptune Microbotics. I have taken 3 years of computer science, 2 years of CAD, and 1 year of robotics, and 2 years of tech theater, and yes, that's a STEM class. That counts. That's good. I'll be attending Denver University next fall and major in engineering and computer science. The project objectives are finding safer ways to treat cancer, researching microbots, and raising awareness of the dangers of chemotherapy. Cancer claims more than that's probably wrong. 600,000 lives per year. The current remedies are inefficient and dangerous. Chemotherapy, the most commonly used treatment, works by releasing a cell poison into the body, which kills cancerous and healthy cells indiscriminately. And at many times, the patient themselves. My mom was one of these patients. She passed away in 2016 from an adverse reaction to chemotherapy. Cells have a ribonucleic protein called telomerase, which creates an enzyme called telomerase. Cells have a limited amount of telomerase, and some of it is used every time cells reproduce. However, cancer cells have a mutation where telomerase never deactivates and creates an unlimited amount of telomerase, meaning that the cell reproduces until it dies. All cells created have the same mutation so that they exponentially grow into tumors. There are 3 main types of chemotherapy: pills, liquid, and external radiation. They all work by flooding the body with cell poison in the hopes that they can kill all the cancerous cells before they can reproduce again. The hope is that cancer cells will die before the healthy ones, but there is no way for chemotherapy to directly target cancer cells, so it often kills both. 7.5% of cancer patients receiving chemotherapy will die within the first 30 days of starting treatment. A viable solution would require precise targeting to the affected areas. The strength typically destroy cancer cells before they reproduce, a containable area of effect, and the ability to kill cancer cells before they can grow into tumors. After doing research, I came to the conclusion that microbots capable of delivering limited amounts of chemotherapy directly to targeted areas would be capable of fitting all these needs. In most microbot systems, the microbot itself acts only as a delivery unit, and it's controlled by an exterior system like an MRI or CAD scan. In this example, an MRI is used. The delivery process starts with the microbot being loaded with chemotherapy, and then the patient is placed into the MRI and injected with the microbots. From there, the MRI creates a path to the affected area, and after the microbot gets there, it triggers a chemotherapy release mechanism. The original version that I designed was entirely based off submarines. It had a back propeller, 5 motors, and 2 ballast tanks. Ballast tanks are a system of tanks that fill with air to rise and water to sink. The payload canister, where the chemotherapy was kept, was found in the bottom middle of the microbot. Throughout my project, my advisor, Mr. Reed, recommended several modifications to the design. This included minimizing moving parts, increasing the targeting range for the chemotherapy, using the pressure in the veins to navigate, and using specific types of motors. Brushless motors are types of motors that turn the exterior plating around the motor instead of the middle pipe in order to take up less space. And linear solenoids are tubes wrapped with wire around them so that they act like a piston. Both motors rely completely on electromagnetic fields so that they can be more compact than their counterparts, and also this will allow them to be 3D printed in the future when the technology becomes more advanced. With these modifications, I was able to take this design and turn it into this one. The new design has two sections: the control center and the payload canister. It's designed to travel in the bloodstream where it's pushed by the natural pressure in the circulatory system. This change also meant that no ballast tanks were necessary, and the front propeller is what's supposed to stop it. The payload canister was increased in size and given the ability to turn 360 degrees so that it could target more parts of the veins. There are now only 3 moving parts on the entire bot. The control center is built like a 3-level shelf. It also has holes that travel between each level for wires. The first level holds the computer chip. The second level is hollowed out to fit the linear solenoid. The third level is where the battery would be. A brushless motor would be attached to both ends of the shelf unit. This is my advisor, Mr. Reed. As mentioned earlier, he was instrumental to the changes in the design. I chose him as my advisor because he had worked on a project where the goal was to treat cancer with external radiation so that it would target only the tumors and cancerous cells. This is my timeline. I did not think this through at all. I fell way behind this, and the research, the circuit board, like the research and all of that kind of stuff took a lot longer. There's even more to this timeline that I had originally planned, but I wasn't able to get any of that done. I was supposed to create a prototype, but unfortunately, because of size restraints and time restraints, I was unable to do so. There are other designs and working prototypes. All the designs have their own problems, but I do believe that with time, they will one day be used to actually treat cancer. This is a Xenobot. It is a microbot composed of frog cells. It's small enough to travel through the veins, but currently there are problems with controlling it. They are first designed virtually on computers and then built by teams of biologists and machinery. This is a morphing microbot. It is composed of a hydrogel coated in oxide nanoparticles to make them magnetic. It's drawn to the body by magnets, and when it comes into a specific environment around a tumor, the hydrogel distorts, releasing chemotherapy. After my mom passed, I set out to cure cancer. I was naive and angry, As I did my research, I found that the problem was a lot more complex than I thought it was. I know now that it will take a lot of time and effort before we have working microbots. But I believe with continued technological advancement, research, and conversation, we will one day cure cancer, and I believe that microbots will play a substantial role in getting us there. Thank you. Questions? George.
What would the scale be of these microbots?
In practice, there would be only like 2 micrometers, or millimeters, sorry. Micro? Yeah, no, micrometers. Henry?
How many at a time would you use?
Several would be used, just probably 10 at a time or something.
You can go there first. What would ensure there's not like an infection due to microbes?
I mean, it's never actually been tested, so we don't really know. It's basically just metal and plastic, or there's obviously the one made of hydrogel. So I don't think there would be infections caused by that, but that's only something we would know after we create working prototypes.
How much chemo can fit in a microbot with the liquid?
I'm not sure the actual numbers. Not enough to take down a single tumor by itself, which is why we'd have to use like 10 microbots or even more. Yeah, maybe just didn't do the math.
How would you retrieve the microbots?
They are not meant to be retrieved. They would go into the, what is it called? Hold on. The digestive system, and all that's how they would get out of the prison. Any more questions?